Okay, so for today's video, we have the Terra by Battat Acrocanthosaurus. This was the figure that I've kind of hinted at a couple videos, I think. This was the last figure I sort of got on my vacation trip, and how I mean that is I ordered it before I was on vacation, but it arrived at my house while I was on vacation, so I didn't really get the figure till I got back, if that makes sense. I hope it did. I know that's kind of confusing, but I hope I phrased that correctly, but... I'll be honest, I really wanted to complete this Terra by Battat set because it's not a very big set. I know there's also some other Battat figures that were like some museum line figures, but I wanted to complete the Terra by Battat line. This was a line that you could get at Target. I had about half the line already. I think I had 5 of them before getting this one. I had the main one, I think, though. I have the T-Rex, and this was the other one that I didn't have that I really wanted. And it's the Acrocanthosaurus. Acrocanthosaurus is one of my favorite dinosaurs. I already really liked it a lot, but after I was learning more about Acrocanthosaurus and getting the Safari Limited Carnegie Collection Acrocanthosaurus, after learning more about it, I started to like it even more as a dinosaur because I've always liked the Carcharodontosaurids like Giganotosaurus and Carcharodontosaurus, but this is a North American one. I live in North America, so that's already, a cool bonus. And it being a descendant of the Allosaurids, and Allosaurus being my favorite dinosaur, it's just got a bunch of things going for it. For me, such a cool dinosaur. One of the biggest North American carnivores ever. Really, the only thing that's a lot bigger than it was T-Rex, and I mean T-Rex wasn't a crap ton bigger than it. It's just a cool dinosaur. One of my personal favorites now. It's probably my top 10 favorite dinosaurs, honestly, with a bunch of its relatives. If I ever do that top 10 favorite dinosaurs, there will be a lot of theropods. But I really love this figure. Glad to finally add it to the collection. And like I said, the Terra by Battat line is not that big of a line. Other than this, I think I only really need the Carno, the Ceratosaurus, and a Margosaurus, and there's one Ankylosaurus. It's either Ankylosaurus itself or Euoplocephalus. One of those two, I believe. And I think then I would just about have the complete set. I actually really like the pose on this figure because, it's showing that it is a quadrupedal dinosaur. I mean, not quadrupedal, whatever the two-legged one is. It's showing that. But the only reason why it's standing on its arm is just because it's like doing a pose where it's like eating something or about to like grab something with its mouth. So it's like leaned over. So I actually kind of like the pose. It would obviously look really good with either, you have it grabbing a smaller dinosaur, or it's like fighting another dinosaur and it's like going for the finishing bite, or like if you had like the collect dead carcass dinosaur figures, it would look really good with that. Even though those dinosaurs, don't really work with it because, one's a stegosaur and one's I think a triceratops, which neither of those, would have lived with Acrocanthosaurus. But there was a new sauropod they released, and I know it's not one that lived with Acro, but, you could say it's one of the sauropods that Acro did live with. So I do like the pose. Such an awesome dinosaur. So glad to finally have this in the collection. And I will say this figure is a better figure than the Safari Limited Carnegie Collection figure for one big reason. There's one big knock on the Safari Limited Carnegie Collection Acrocanthosaurus. I love the figure. I love this part of the figure, we'll say. I love this part of the figure. If you could switch the head on this figure, this would be an awesome figure. But this figure is so much better than this figure just due to the skull. Because I'm almost positive at the time that this figure was made, we knew what the skull looked like for Acrocanthosaurus. So I don't know why in the world they decided to go like this for the Safari Limited Carnegie Collection one. But the Terra by Battat one is way better. It looks way more like a Carcharodontosaur, that longer skull, like Acrocanthosaurus itself. And I love the little crest. I love the colors on this figure as well. An awesome figure. And I got this figure for under $10. In the box, brand new. Awesome figure. It's one of the other... This and the T-Rex are the two biggest Terra by Battat figures. I don't know if they're to scale or not, but they're not horribly off if they weren't trying to be. I'd say that those are almost to scale because Acro is almost as long as T-Rex, but it's definitely not as heavy. But overall, awesome figure. Really love it. I'm glad to add it to the collection. And this is probably my favorite Acrocanthosaurus I have in the collection, even though it's one of the only ones. I have two of this figure, which, if you want to learn a little bit more about Acrocanthosaurus, I mentioned some more stuff about it in the video, the Safari Limited Carnegie Collection one. But this is probably my best Acrocanthosaurus figure because the other ones I have are two of that Carnegie Collection one, and then the two Safari Limited one, which is pretty much just a miniature one of those. So my definitely most accurate Acrocanthosaurus. So yeah, I would probably say my best Acrocanthosaurus. And one of the better ones in general. I mean, Safari Limited's come out with a more recent one that's pretty good. Collecta's got a pretty good Acrocanthosaurus as well. I definitely would like to pick that one up. And I would like to pick up that Safari Limited one. Rebor's got a really cool one. I think its name's Hercules. But Rebor, I've kind of mentioned this before, Rebor is a little out of my price range. I would love to get some Rebor figures, but, you know, Rebor figures are not cheap, considering I got this figure for $10. And this is an awesome figure, once again. So I would definitely recommend adding it to your collection, especially if you can get it for cheaper. And, I mean, if you can get any figure as good as this one for under $10, I would definitely recommend doing it. So I think that's it. And like I said, definitely recommend getting this figure if you have the chance. So thank you all so much for watching, and I am out.